And so we really have a history right from the start of streaming audio from Wi-Fi modules, connectivity, and implementing that in audio-based products.
Hey everybody, Dave Lindberg in Hong Kong with another episode of the THD Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have Stream Unlimited coming to us from Vienna, Austria, and they're into and have been for many years connecting devices with RF technology, be it Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, for audio, voice, and IoT devices. So we're going to find out about what's happening with them. But for this episode, we've got a special partner. So Audio Express is endorsing this episode, and they'll be publishing some articles coming up in the December edition on Stream Unlimited. So we encourage people to check that out. And we have a discount code for anybody who wants to subscribe to Audio Express, BF24. So please look over to them and see if you want to subscribe. But also, let's not forget about Alti, our sponsor. They will be at CES, and they are planning Alti Summit in March in Phoenix. So we encourage people to check out that event. But without delay, let's say hello to our guests. So we have Sebastian Jankowitsch, the director of Smart Integrations, joining us, and also Mark Needham, the product manager. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
All right. And I did not forget Simon is hanging out in Japan. All right. So yeah, like RF connected devices been around. I think Stream Unlimited is kind of really one of the founders of Wi-Fi audio through some of their previous incarnations. But maybe let's jump into a presentation and introduce the company and go through what's happened and what's new.
Okay, yeah. So as you said, David, Stream Unlimited, we are based in Vienna. Both Sebastian and I are sitting here in Vienna. We are next year, 2025, is our 20th anniversary. So we've been around a long time. The founders of the company were at Philips in Vienna, and part of the original Streamium team. Before that was sort of moved on. And so we really have a history right from the start of streaming audio from Wi-Fi modules, connectivity, and implementing that in audio-based products from the beginning. We're now a company of around 120 people globally, and we have office locations, HQ obviously here in Vienna, but we also have a development office in Slovakia, Bratislava. We have representation in Shenzhen, working closely with our brands, but also ODM partners. We have representation in Japan for our customers there, also in the US for partner management and for customers. And also now a small representation in Saudi Arabia also, which we see, which actually is a developing market there. Yeah.
Okay, is that Jawad? Is he still working with you guys?
It is Jawad. It is okay. Jawad.
Yeah, I met him when he was with the US team.
Yeah, so he's transitioned right now away from the US. And is based there now in Saudi Arabia, just kind of monitoring a bit the market there, doing some consultation and some networking. And yeah, I mean, it's an interesting. He's not the only one moving from the US, and it's an interesting period there. Yeah.
Okay, that's the first I've heard of somebody setting up there, but I can imagine it's an interesting market. So.
Yeah, watch this space. I think it's a bit early, but yeah.
Sure. All right, please continue.
Yeah, so I would say with regard to our positioning, Stream Unlimited is we're here to fill a development gap, and what that means is that you have the semiconductor supplier, of which we're working with all the big ones. And at least having partnerships with them. And then on the other end of the product development scale, you timeline, you have the ODM and the brand themselves. And Stream Unlimited kind of slot there in the middle. You know, we're doing hardware design, we're doing software design and implementation, we're doing application software. We have a range of hardware modules. We have a reference app and doing UI development and certification also. So we're not producing end products. But we are doing sort of everything else in between. And also, whilst we don't produce end products, we do have an extensive team with experience in consultation. So, you know, we do sometimes get involved in acoustic design and testing and these kind of things. So we have a large and very diverse customer base. And they use us. The customers use us from for any number of things on the product development scale. So most of our customers actually take our core software product, which is Stream SDK. That's our major product, the software stack. But we also support that with a family of hardware modules. And most of our customers take both. You know, they take the software running on one of our hardware modules, but we do offer customers the opportunity to take our software stack on their own custom hardware, and we do have instances of that. And yeah, so we are, I don't know how you would phrase it, but we're sort of like a one-stop shop for audio design product development.
Is it kind of a scale of the business where you find customers taking the module versus people doing their own chip on board design and taking your software? Is it fair to say that if somebody were to watch this and go, oh, I should approach them with a chip on board design, or I should approach them just to buy a module, should they consider like a break point in their annual volumes where that fits? Or how do you find, is it?
I mean, I think the first response to that would be they should come and talk to us anyway and ask the question, because, you know, we're quite a flexible company in our business model. And we do, you know, we're not just quantity driven actually, and our history, our company history is actually in really high end audio, which is as you know low quantity, high retail value. I would say that if you have your own custom hardware, you're probably by the nature of the resource and the investment that's required for that, you're probably a bigger company with bigger quantities. I would say is the norm. And that's how it's sort of driven. We also find that people with custom hardware solutions may also maintain their own software stack, their own streaming software stack. They might have done so for many years, and they find that that's incredibly resource heavy. It drains a lot of resources. And that is our core business. You know, we maintain, we build this software stack. So sometimes we find that customers even switch entirely to our software stack and you know, move away from theirs. Or they can be in a situation where they really need a feature that we have, or a block that we have, and we can work with them to let's say cherry pick or to design in that particular feature set that they need, and integrate with their own software stack. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a great idea to develop your hardware and your software stack, but it's not a really forward-looking concept in terms of the maintenance when people are switching, who knows, routers or all the elements of your little Wi-Fi network. And I think we use the term like having a Babelfish that can communicate between all these devices is kind of a definite challenge, and it takes a lot of software resources to maintain it when people need updates and all this kind of stuff.
Absolutely, and updates is the key word there. I mean, we're not maintenance and updates are vital, because we're not talking about products that have a 1 or 2 year shelf life. You know, we're talking about designing in products that have a high retail value and we want them to be in the market for a number of years, and that means not only maintaining the software, security fixes, updates for that reason, it also means being able to update with new features, when they come along, and being able to be dynamic and react to the market for a number of years. And that puts an incredible drain on resources. Yeah. And that's our business model. That's what we do for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just mentioned actually in the previous conversation there, Stream SDK and our Stream modules. So Stream SDK is by now a very large software stack. It's not just music streaming services, Spotify Connect, Tidal. You see the logos there. It's also things like voice assistants you mentioned earlier, but also room correction. We support Dirac. We support Dolby Atmos. We support Fraunhofer in a number of regards with MPEG-H, but also with we're demoing flexible rendering with them. So it's really a software stack that you could never come to us and say, okay, I want to take the software stack as it is. I want everything. Because it's actually a menu. So it's really with us a consultative process. What product are you developing? What features do you really need? Who's the end user? What's the target price point? What's the sort of the cost price target? And we can build something there. As I said, one of our selling points is really how flexible we are.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can see, we are running in more than 10 million devices around the globe by now. And that ranges from a $60 soundbar all the way up to $100,000 price point, high-end amplifiers, streamers, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Wow.
And then our module family. Is I'd say it's built on like a good, better, best scenario, and it's also designed to enable customers to build a whole product family on our solution, which means they can have an entry-level product price point on our Stream 210. They can also then have a mid-range soundbar, and they can also have a really high-end product in the same family based on the same software, but changing around the hardware based on their requirements.
Okay.
Yeah. So you could say with the hardware module family is also, in that sense, premium to low cost. Obviously, that is a factor, and you could roughly say that Stream 1955 is for our sort of high end products, but also immersive soundbars supporting Atmos and high-end codecs. Stream 1832 is also for soundbars and smart speakers, but is maybe a bit more kind of mid-range. And Stream 210, it's actually a new model in mass production this year, and that one is smaller. It's lower cost. It therefore has a faster time to market. We're offering some, let's say, predefined software packages with that, so you could take a package and sort of run with it if you have a fast time to market requirement, and that also is suitable form factor wise for products like headphones, Wi-Fi headphones, which you can come on to later.
Mm-hmm. And are we going to
talk about what a module consists of?
Yeah, so all of our modules contain both Wi-Fi, Bluetooth chips on board. So we're very experienced with the coexistence of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Ethernet, USB, etc. Sebastian, do you have anything to add there?
Well, on the next slide, we kind of could dive a bit more into that, right? The Bluetooth and Wi-Fi coexistence, connectivity options, and stuff like that.
But would it be fair to say that you guys are not doing Bluetooth only? You're doing that.
Exactly.
The Wi-Fi plus Bluetooth is kind of, because there's a lot of options for Bluetooth, but having and actually in the market, we didn't really discuss this, but there's not many people like you anymore. The other candidates are kind of either beholden by one factory or have gone to become a brand. There are a few other outliers, but in this space, you guys are kind of exclusive now, doing Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, we've never been a Bluetooth only company. That's never been our segment. We've had products, but it's never been our core business. Our core business has always been offering Wi-Fi products with Bluetooth. So a combination, and we don't see any change in that demand with our customer base. Mm-hmm. But again, one of our strengths is that we are either offering or looking to offer, a multitude of connectivity options, so people can spec what they need for that product. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Bluetooth only products have an advantage in some cases, but we find generally that our customer base are producing products that definitely need Wi-Fi as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious about what a module consists of, in the sense that when we say module, you think of multiple chips perhaps and some other circuitry to go with it. What is, and including amplifier, what is the modules, where does this range of modules sort of start and stop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, we feature the SoC is generally from one of the big vendors. So our Stream 9055 is NXP based, Stream 1832 is Amlogic based, and Stream 210 is now Realtek based. We have separate antennas for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. We have amplifiers on board. We have various interfaces, again, depending on a bit the customer. But in general, the customer would need to either produce their own carrier board, or again, we can help with that and provide that. But that's how it generally works with developing a product with the module.
Okay.
Okay.
And meanwhile, being as Mark mentioned before, like being as flexible as possible, having kind of one software being able to run across all these modules, and all of them being based on different chips, basically, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what we can offer, and it makes a lot of things much simpler in the long run. Let's say if you have a product family.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure if now is a perfect time to also mention that we're also working on LE audio and things like ultra wideband. We've been experimenting in, and we even have products in the market using our streaming solution and ultra wideband, so coexisting. And of course, there are advantages and disadvantages to all of those connectivity options, and some of them are perhaps more advanced in the marketplace than others. But I think it's interesting to see how that sort of world develops with LE audio and with ultra wideband. Yeah.
I'm a little bit curious about the LE audio, if you don't mind. So pretty much every SoC manufacturer says LE audio capable. I've only ever seen one working demo for about 30 seconds. You know, everybody claims it, but I've never actually had a chance to listen to it properly. What's the state of things like that? I mean, like you in your labs, everything's working fine, or is it still a bit speculative?
I mean, I think carry on, Sebastian. Yeah.
Well, it's still, of course, under development. Especially, we are based on Linux, so like we are the Linux kernel requires an update to actually integrate all of the new functionalities for LE audio. Right? We have a very stable demo on Auracast, actually, that works very well already. The dedicated channel, or they call it multi-stream, thing, so where you kind of have one channel to the left, one channel to the right, speaker, whatever, is still under development. We have it running, but as you say, it's due to the kernel, it's still unstable, and we are still working on that.
The Linux kernel actually is required for that. I don't know that much about it, just curious, because I remember back in the early days of Bluetooth, you had a Windows machine, let's say, you might have to install Bluetooth drivers for to run audio. Is it not? Is it operating at a lower level than that?
Yes, it's both actually, right? So you also have a new chip, right? It requires a new chip design. So there are parts in the kernel and parts in the application layers, right?
Interesting. Okay.
So on that topic, we have now LE ready versions of our modules. So we have an LE ready. We have a Stream 1832 LE module and a Stream 1955 LE module. And Stream 210 was anyway prepared for LE audio. So all of our hardware modules are compatible. What that means, though, is that if a customer has developed a product already with a Stream 1832 module inside, for future product development with LE audio, they would need to switch to that updated hardware module. So it is definitely a sort of impacting in that sense in hardware requirements. Yeah.
Interesting.
Although it's again, updating is again pin compatible, of course, and software just needs an update, basically, right? So.
True. Yeah. Okay. And there is an element to customers, and it's definitely a hot topic, of course. It's been very publicly marketed, and that drives a demand in the market for LE audio and Auracast. It doesn't necessarily provide all of the use cases. So we have found a little bit that people, there's a desire to include LE audio without necessarily a clear use case for that particular product. So, carry on, David.
I think we kind of said off camera, but we might as well say it here, is like the SIG, the Bluetooth SIG, have an amazing defense to protect other entrants from coming in terms of like everybody for some reason has to have LE audio in their products, but there's nothing like there's I think a handful of phones that can actually transmit. But I guess that's good if they're the standard or a standard, is that people aren't going to jump ship so easily, and they'll be patient, because it could turn into chaos if people all of a sudden wanted something else came along as a new standard. It could, but anyways. I think
sorry, carry on, Sebastian. Yeah.
Mark, maybe you can switch to the LE audio slide that we have here, actually, because it's kind of, as we're talking about use cases, that's kind of actually what we are trying to achieve, basically, right? Is, you get, you have so many possibilities with LE audio, and we think in our space, the one of the major use cases will be to have, especially with the current, let's say, limited data rates that we have, so up to 3 channels, 3 dedicated channels. You could have like a sound bar that covers left, right, and center channel, for example, and then you have the rear speakers and the subwoofer connected via LE audio. And instead of, for example, Visor, which from a cost perspective is, of course, much higher, right? Of course, then only limited to 3 wireless speakers, right, or receivers. And for Auracast, like use cases, for example, like your grandpa is having an hearing aid, right, and you can optimize the experience for him, and meanwhile everybody else sees the same movie, and you can watch together, and everybody has the perfect experience, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think, as you mentioned here, the public systems in airports and places like this, the plan is to have it enabled so people can just kind of tune in to that channel, whatever's on the television in the airport lounge.
Yeah, but even at home, right? You can do that at home as well.
Yeah. Like as you say, for the assisted hearing.
Yes.
At IFA this year, at the IFA show in Berlin, we had an Auracast demo with a headphone, and we had our own channel, so to speak, which was broadcasting just a radio station as an example. But actually, already some of the booth vendors around us in the hall that had some LE audio access could see our channel already, and they were asking us, can we have the password to listen to your broadcast? So they're those kind of things. If you're in a shopping mall or in an airport, as you mentioned, then you can. I could understand how that would be an interesting use case. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we kind of hijacked the presentation, but maybe let's jump back.
I want to keep hijacking it, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I am conscious also a bit of time, so I can also spin through a bit. So yeah, I mean, we generally have this sort of concept, a bit of an audio modeling play, where, and again, it comes back to a bit the how I mentioned earlier, you can build a product family with us. So we really do have people that are building just a wireless speaker or a streaming speaker, a Google Cast speaker, a voice assistant speaker, a standalone. When that was more of a thing a few years ago, that people just really building a standalone voice assistant speaker, and then you can also build all the way up to a high end product with these building blocks. With us, and just spinning through, then this is actually Stream SDK. So so from the ground up, it's an integration platform. You see we have the hardware and the kernel and the drivers at the lower level with low power management, right the way up to cloud application, the UI resources and the engine, and then content services, all of the standard ones, if you like. Plus, we have some smart home integration with Matter. We're part of the Matter Alliance, working hard on that. We have Siri from Apple and HomeKit. So this essentially is our core product.
Yeah, actually, this kind of parlays perhaps into a question. Maybe you cover it a bit later, but. The voice user interface market, or the Siri, Google Voice Assistant and the Alexa, it's gone a bit quiet, especially for third-party products. But maybe you have some insight on where that market is heading, because I don't think people are going to. Well, I know myself, I'm not going to stop talking to myself. So it'd be nice if there was a device listening to me. But maybe you can tell us a bit of like what's on the horizon if you have any insight there.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's fair. I think that there has been a slowdown in third-party integrations over the last year or two, and there is a reason for that. And it's generally around product development within those ecosystems. So they are working on AI and on how to improve the user experience of those voice assistants, and that means that they essentially did. Let's say pause third-party integrations right now. So, but we do expect that will sort of reignite over the coming year or two, and I think you will start to see again third-party integrations in products. Maybe the landscape of first-party products offering also changes slightly. I don't have insights necessarily into that, but I could imagine that in order to make the marketplace viable, you need a space for both first party and third party products, and it will be interesting to see how that evolves. Yeah, so it definitely hasn't gone away, David, in total, but it's slowed down right now. Yeah,
sure. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And again, this is a bit our hardware timeline. So we always offer fully certified platforms, actually. So Wi-Fi certification. The modules are in many cases pre-certified with music services and with technology partners. So they're they've been tested for a particular audio codec to make sure that they're running. They've been tested for Spotify, for Tidal, etc. So in many cases, you can insert that module and have confidence that it will pass certification if your software is compliant, which obviously our software is also compliant. Mm-hmm. And our target with these modules, you'll see that we're not making one every year. We're not making one every half year. This is partly because it is a lot of work, resources, cost. It's also a lot of reliance on the chip vendors, trying to work out which particular one in the audio space is relevant for our customers and which one is future proof and will continue to be produced for a long period of time. And that is also a key topic, because I mentioned to you earlier about software updates and maintenance, and it's also vital that our hardware supports that, so they have to have that longevity. They have to be in the market for a while. So you could say, that module developed in mass production in 2020 now is 4 years old. That's true, but it's still going into new products now because it's still fully relevant. It still supports our new features in the software. And in our minds, we don't want to produce hardware modules that are disposable, if
sure,
you like.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like you're about 6 years of lifespan at least. So that's pretty good.
What physical size are we talking about for this? Say like the Stream 210 is the smallest, is it?
Yeah, that's correct. And you caught me there on exact numbers. I can share those with you, but I'm not sure on the exact footprint. But yeah, you can roughly
something like this.
Yeah,
yes.
The 210 is around like 2 centimeters. I think 2 times or so.
Okay.
And the Stream 1955 and 1832 are similar size. It's about like 4 times 3 centimeters or so.
Okay, so a lot of the size is not a big issue for most of your customers, and soundbars and things like that. It's not really a key.
In soundbars, correct. That's not the biggest concern. But for example, now I mentioned earlier with Stream 210, we have some headphone customers, and then of course size becomes a key factor. Yeah. And if you are interested, by the way, in the numbers, we have all that on our website, on the hardware module pages on our website. We also compare them to a matchstick, so you can get a feel for the size. Yeah.
Yep. Sure. And so someone who's building the product, they'll have a power amplifier, some power supply, and then this module basically complete their electronics.
Yeah, and also, our brands are responsible, and actually their IP is then in the acoustic design, and that's where they can then retain their own sort of, because you could say, okay, well, if lots of customers have the hardware module and a feature set which is similar, where is the differentiator? And the differentiator, of course, still lies with the brand in terms of their housing design, their acoustic design, and we can consult on that, but that's generally that's where their expertise is actually.
Yeah, well, at some level they're going to have to buy somebody's SoC. You know what I mean? So no one's all that unique. Okay.
Yeah. We have evaluation kits available with all of this, so you can select the software features that you need, and you can obtain a kit from us and test this. Yeah. And
also on longevity, like as Mark mentioned before, we just updated all like the 3 modules to the latest LE audio chip, right? Mm-hmm. So that's also one approach. Even if some parts kind of go end of life, we always try to kind of for our customers, so that they can keep producing, we try to replace the components, so it's not a disaster for our customers. So we have, for example, just recently we made a release for a customer on the Stream 800, which was launched in 2012 or so, with a software update.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, yeah, and just this slide. I mean, actually, David, you mentioned about competition in the marketplace. One of our key differentiators and the reason why customers keep coming back to us and why we keep obtaining new customers is actually the customization option. So, of course, some people want a dedicated feature set and they don't want to change much. But we do find that, again, it comes coming back to differentiation. Lots of people want customization. And that's because of our engineering background and our expertise is really where we differentiate and where we find that we obtain customers that have perhaps been developing elsewhere, coming to us. Mm-hmm. Under the hood improvements, long-term support, we've touched on, and emerging tech integration. I mean, actually, we're always interested, and any of your sort of viewers that have emerging tech that they don't see with us on our website or from talking to us, we're always keen to know what people are looking at on their own roadmaps, what's important for your product development, and we want to know that, and how can we integrate that also.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Elite audio Auracast slide we quickly looked at. So just wanted to real quickly link through to Wi-Fi headphones. This is actually a new segment for us. We haven't traditionally been in headphones as in the same way that we haven't traditionally been in Bluetooth only speakers. But the Stream 210 is offering us the opportunity to build Wi-Fi and LE audio headphones, and that's an interesting use case for our end user, or the brand customer's end user base. That the audiophile that is using the headphone on the train to work as a Bluetooth headphone, and then coming home and listening, over Wi-Fi to some high-res content. And this is already gaining some traction with our customers. So interesting segment for us. Yeah. Okay. And the Stream 210 is low power enough, and versus other modules out there that you can, the brand can ultimately configure the battery size to achieve the playtime that they need and the feature set that they want to offer.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you've got the high-res audio 192 kilobit 24-bit, where are you going to get that source material from? Do you need a Wi-Fi transmitter module on your CD player, or where do you get the source material from? So if you're using Spotify, for example, the maximum, I don't know, might be 350 kilobit, some compressed. I don't even know what their format is, but
Spotify might not be the right example here.
No, I don't mean, so that's very common. Where would you get where do people who use this high fidelity Wi-Fi, what's their source content coming from? Files on a hard drive?
Okay, so yeah, it's a combination. Then it's sort of it can be local. It can be local drives. It can be NAS drives. It can be a streaming service like Tidal or Amazon Music that is offering high-res audio. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's a combination of both of those things, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
You can just use, for example, Tidal Connect, right? For that, and that can transfer high-res audio, or you could even, as it's based on Wi-Fi and it's kind of inside, it's a full-fledged smart speaker, let's say, right? So you could just basically even have native services running there. As soon as it's connected to Wi-Fi, you could directly stream native content and just have an app where you control the source, basically.
Right.
And that's also how you would browse UPnP content in your network, for example, or like Mark mentioned before, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I briefly mentioned to you earlier that with our Stream 210, we have a predefined package sort of solution. So we, for example, have a cast packages, which is essentially a renderer package with Google Cast, with Spotify Connect, with Tidal Connect, and an app just for setup. So the end user then uses the music service app to connect to the device. We have a music build which contains things like DAB on top if you're making a tabletop radios, and we have a voice assistant option with Siri. So we have a standalone integration of Apple Siri as well. So this slide is essentially showing that you can take a package from us in software, hardware, and you just need to certify it and or a product certify it, so to speak, and launch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you forgot the things package, which basically is for use cases in the IoT world, where customers, for example, do their own piece of software, and then we do the connectivity things on there.
Yeah. So that's actually something we probably haven't touched on right now. Because we are, again, traditionally an audio engineering company, but we do have some customers in the IoT space, and increasingly with Matter and with Crestron and with other protocols, we're having interesting talks with customers. That the soundbar, let's say the soundbar form factor, is no longer just a soundbar for listening to the TV audio. It's also an integrated product in the home. So it has to stream music to a high level. It also has to maybe duck the audio when the doorbell rings, and sort of connect to the smart home as well. And that's where we're integrating things like Matter alongside the audio software stack.
Yeah, you could see that going a lot of places, especially with people with their VR goggles on. They might need an interrupt to say, hey, there's somebody at the door, or the security alarms too might be interesting connects for those things as well.
Yeah,
anyway.
And especially then if you have a voice assistant built in there as well, you can trigger a notification that the garage door's opened, or your children have just arrived home or something. If you're listening to music with your Wi-Fi headphones on and you need an interruption because the dishwasher's finished, these kind of things are interesting use cases for our brands as well. We also have, which we haven't shown here, we also have an offline voice assistant, which is our own development and edge assistant. So you can, again, you don't need the cloud-based requirements or use cases, but you just need to be able to control the volume on your device, or skip to the next track, or pause because you need. And you can do that via voice as well. And again, that's an interaction with smart home. So you can set a scene, play a rock scene, and it dims the lights, and it selects the audio and the correct settings, etc. Yeah. Okay.
Very cool. All right. Yeah. And I think we saw that you're going to be at CES.
Yeah, so that's our last slide of the deck. Actually, we will be at CES. We have a suite at the Venetian hotel. So please drop by. We have a good mix of demos with new technology, and so be interesting to see you there.
Okay, great. I think that's pretty comprehensive. Any questions, Simon?
No, I think I'm good. I'm just curious about the Spotify, some of these services. How much of a headache is it to work with them to get these integrations working?
Because that's actually my daily job, and it's for us now. I think we've been around so long. We've had such long-standing partnerships with them. It's seamless for us, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Of course, if somebody's building a product that is slightly outside of the norm, then it can cause some questions regarding certification or UI behavior, for example. But in general, I would say it's smooth. I mean, we're doing in-house the certification for Spotify and for Tidal and for Google Cast. So we're very familiar with the certification requirements, and so I would say it's good. Yeah, seamless for us, really.
Excellent. Thanks.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there, and I'll probably see you guys at CES. I'm in the Venetian as well. But encourage everybody, like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. So long for now.